we're trying to build a movement and be strategic and assemble remnants of the former Bernie Sanders coalition along with other people and more radical, and just trying to build something. And with that said, RBN has come up against this almost immovable object so many times, and that is the progressive Democrat narrative. And the narrative of electing more progressives in a Democratic Party, or still using the Democratic Party as the apparatus of change, which has failed. That strategy has failed so many times. I do want to start this with this video from Brother Nick right here. So let's play it. It's about a minute and a half long. And on the other side, I have a little more to say here.
Bernie Sanders pulled one of the biggest political con jobs of the modern era. Bernie Sanders took hundreds of millions of dollars from ordinary, desperate people and promised a political revolution. Now he's nothing more than an ordinary pro-war Democrat. Bernie Sanders had potential to be a leader of a movement, but instead he reduced himself into being a weaselly, spineless, little PR puppet cuck of the Democratic Party. Now, in light of a surging third-party potential candidacy of Dr. Cornel West, Bernie's old friend, Bernie Sanders is throwing cold water and telling people to support the Democratic Party. According to Bernie Sanders, this is once again the most important election of our lifetime. According to Bernie Sanders, if Trump wins, it will be the end of our democracy. Bernie Sanders sounds no different than the average Morning Joe, Rachel Maddow, MSNBC shitlib at this point. Bernie, did you forget that you ran against Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and they rigged both primaries against you? You now propping up the system that is rigged against us? What a fucking coward. The job of Bernie Sanders, AOC, and the squad is to shift what it means to be a socialist to the right and create a weak, ineffective, spineless left-wing movement.
So I want to say there's so much evidence to the contrary of what Bernie Sanders, the other progressive elected Democrats are saying about Joe Biden, are saying about Democrats. But this is what Brother Ajamu Baraka says about this video, Dr. West. And he says, RBN, you should learn not to hold back. He's being sarcastic here because Nick went pretty hard. He went pretty hard there. The Democrats are pathetic. Black people are not afraid of Trump or the power of colonial capitalist rulers. If Sanders had some principles and courage, he might have been the nominee of the party, but he was not willing to fight. And this crystallizes the point that I'm trying to get to, which is these progressive Democrats are very unreliable allies in this fight. And we're seeing it right now with the support and the propping up of the Democratic Party, with the support of the NATO war, with the support of Israel. It seems like, is it really just Trump? Is it only just Trump that is just got them? It seemed to be off their normal left decision making. Is it just Trump, or is it something else, Dr. West? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, these are fascinating questions, and you can imagine that it takes a little time. I mean, when I listen to all three of the voices there, you got, on the one hand, you got Brother Bernie, then you got Brother Nick, then you got Brother Ajamu. You see, Brother Nick and Brother Ajamu come from a Black revolutionary tradition. You see, Bernie doesn't come from a Black revolutionary tradition. He comes from a democratic socialist tradition, who rightly is concerned about Wall Street greed and all the things that he's really made popular. And I think that's very important. I think we'd all agree that Wall Street greed needs to be highlighted. And any voice that does that is important. Brother Bernie did that. Brother Bernie does not come from a anti-imperialist tradition. You see, yes. Brother Nick and Brother Ajamu are anti-imperialists, you see. So that but Brother Bernie will always be my brother, so that I know some of the language that Brother Nick just takes off on. I mean, you got a right to use the language you want and so forth. But we have to be very honest about the truths that Nick is bringing and Baraka are bringing from a Black revolutionary tradition that really does zero in on imperial policies abroad, and are not in any way reluctant to talk about forms of accommodation to corporate power in one's practice, even if one is critical of corporate power in the abstract. So that I do believe, for example, I think Brother Bernie is still in his own way, in his own view, he's fighting, but his framework is so narrow. You see, he's fighting for workers' rights in a corporate dominated party that has told you year after year that they don't really give a damn about you. So that doesn't mean he's not fighting. It just means that his framework is just so narrow that he finds it difficult to be in alliance with a Black revolutionary politics that would be thoroughly anti-imperial, and that would say that any accommodation to a corporate dominated Democratic Party is a form of the language that you use is pathetic or whatever.
The language that you use.
Whatever, because there's different languages that you use in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I think it's a matter of just being clear about the traditions and the lenses through which we view the world. I myself, I come from a Black revolutionary Christian tradition. So that when I hear what Brother Nick says, when I hear what Brother Jamu says, I resonate with it. The debates that I used to have with my dear brother Bernie, we needed not just Black presence, but we needed a thoroughgoing critique of the new Jim Crow and mass incarceration. We needed a critique of Israeli apartheid. We needed a critique of a whole host of things that he himself, when we would debate, he disagreed. PDS, we had long debates about PDS. Brother West, I hear you. I'm not convinced. Brother Bernie, you're wrong as two left shoes. You ought to be with the PDS move. Back and forth. But that was a clash of two different traditions in that way. And I think it's very important that people see this. Now, Brother Nick, is that fair in my characterization, or brother?
Now, you guys see with that video why I'm not suitable to ever run for office. I'm not. I don't have the temperament. I'm a hothead at heart.